quick shout out to Alex for this little birthday present. This thing is sick, dude. This thing's pretty trick. Like, look at that. I'm just looking at the engine, and you guys can actually see. So this is my first look underneath the rear end of the car. I've only had the front end up to do the oil change. Took a quick look around, but couldn't really see much at the rears. Looks like we got some aftermarket lower control arms. They are greasable, probably poly bushings. Same with the uppers. It looks like we have some sort of Drake. I'll have to look that up. Got some nice back cover, and it looks like this is like the Ford racing style, the Ford performance style, where these center bolts, basically you tighten them down and they hold the main rear end caps in place. So looks like those are ran in a pretty fair bit. So pretty cool. We do have some money at the rear end as well. Should probably buy more grease so I can grease everything up. But what I would like to do is try to figure out what kind of bolts I need to install that exhaust over there that the previous owner gave me for this car, along with some other parts in trade for those 42-pound FIC injectors and their adapters. So let's try mocking it up. It would appear we do have our exhaust rubbers there and over there, so I'm hoping we can at least hang the mufflers in place. Alrighty, toss the mufflers in, and funny enough, I did find some hardware. It's not all matching, but mostly is, sort of, not really. So, got those clamped together. I've never played with this style exhaust ordeal, so hopefully I didn't like pinch it too hard on one side or the other. I don't know, I didn't jack the car up enough, and I didn't feel like jacking it up anymore, but we're clear of the drive shaft. We might touch a little on the frame here. You can actually see a rubbing point on the side of this muffler, but I don't have clamps to throw the over axle on, so I'm not gonna worry about that, but we gotta fire this thing up and see how she sounds. Quick pit stop to my buddy Mike's house, doing an oil change on a 67. Wheels are chocked, front's in the air. Well, folks, it's been a couple days since I've picked up the Videomaker 3000. I've been sick, but feeling a little bit better, not really. So I figured I should probably work on the Cobra. So let me show you guys where I left off, what I just wrapped up before I picked up my phone, and we'll go from there. So the old girl is still on jack stands. All four wheels are still off of it. I changed out the Hydroboost. I changed out the entire unit with the one the previous owner gave me. I tried taking it out. Well, I did take it out as two separate pieces, which was a horrible mistake. The master cylinder is freed up. There was no issues with that. The Hydroboost had fluid in it, so I don't know which one of those was leaking. The back of the master kind of looked a little scabby, so it's possible the master was leaking, and that was the fluid that we were seeing. I don't really know. So something was obviously leaking onto the driver's side frame rail, so we had to change something regardless. But what a pain in the ass that process was. Anyways, my biggest fight, and the real reason why the car was sitting in the shape it was for a couple days, was on this fitting and on this fitting. There is little nylon washers that seal here's one that I broke, but basically there's just little nylon washers that they use as like a crush washer to create a seal. Now, I don't know why they used O-rings as the kind of sealant on the Hydroboost connections itself, and then on the remote connections like here and here, they use some weird nylon seals that they don't create anymore, so you have to use some off-the-shelf Dorman ones, heat them up in hot water, try to stretch them on, hope that they don't break. Obviously, you saw I broke one of them over there. I bought all the ones local to me, and I broke one of those in the process, so I had to order some in. But got that all together, guaranteed it's going to leak. I sucked all the fluid out of the reservoir. I believe it was just like the clear power steering fluid. I put in some Mercon V, I think. I don't know. Whatever that bottle is. So we have some ATF basically now in the system there. Tried bleeding the brakes. I bled the master with my vacuum bleeder. Bled the master, no problem. That bled beautifully. Now, unfortunately, this front driver wheel, the back driver wheel, and the back passenger wheel have zero brake fluid at them. I don't think it's the proportioning valve, because if it was the proportioning valve, the prop valve, whatever we want to call it, it's either the fronts or the rears will work. So you'll get two and not the other two. Right now, we are getting that one is working fine. These three are not working at all. So I'm going to take a bet and say it's probably something to do with the ABS pump, which ironically we actually have a leaky line at. As we can see right there, that one is very, very wet. So I think we have a problem with the ABS pump. Now, is there a chance that maybe I'm just not bleeding it correctly? I know on a lot of cars when you go to bleed the brakes, you're supposed to have a scan tool hooked up to be able to, I guess, stroke the solenoids inside of the unit to allow air to be pumped out of them. Well, I don't have that. I have a $30 or $40 vacuum bleeder. So the vacuum bleeder worked fine on the GTO when I had that whole brake system apart. For whatever reason, it's not bleeding these. So I think we just have a problem with the unit itself. They do make delete plates. You basically can unbolt the unit and it bolts in like a block of some sort of metal that just allows the fluid to just pass through it. So that's probably going to be our option. But yeah, this wheel wouldn't bleed, that wheel wouldn't bleed, that wheel wouldn't bleed, but the passenger front wheel bled no problem. And as we can tell, this rotor is much cleaner than the other ones. You can actually see some shiny metal on that. Back here, we have just about no shiny metal. So obviously this wheel has not been working anytime I've moved the car. This wheel, same deal, straight rust. There has been no breakage while we use that. And then this front one, it looks like at some point it maybe had caught. There's a little bit of scuffage here, but this caliper was sort of seized, not really. So I don't know. But yeah, so we have 1 out of 4 working brakes. So that's cool. What am I going to do about it? Probably nothing. I don't really care to fix that right now. But now the power steering system is topped off, everything's sealed up. Let's try to fire up the car, see if we have any leaks. If we do, I'm going to take the belt off the engine. We're going to push the car outside. We're going to wash it. We're going to put it in its spot next to the GTO and the marquee. And we're going to take listing pictures and list the thing for sale. Now, I wonder if the security system's tripped. So that's good. That's great. Gotta love it. It's been a little while since that last clip where the car decided to not start anymore. Off camera, I basically discovered that the fuel pump no longer ran, as well as we did not have any sort of ignition power to the coils at the motor. So any logical person would probably start diagnosing why, that problem started. Instead, what I did was listed the car for sale and was just going to act like, I don't care. Well, I can't just let my ego die like that. So after a little while, I cooled down, came back outside, and I said, all right, let's just see if it's something really stupid, because this car, this lovely Cobra, just loves being a little jerk off. So I put the key in the ignition, Still no fuel pump or nothing. I went, tapped on the CCRM underneath the passenger side fender. Didn't do nothing. With the key on, I said, you know, let me open the passenger door. I open the passenger door and shut it. Fuel pump turns on. I hear a bunch of relays and stuff clicking. So I don't know what the problem was, but I guarantee you the car is probably going to start now. Yep, we got fuel pump. You can't make it up. You can't make this shit up. Oh, now that you actually cannot make up. Alrighty, well, I just topped off the power steering fluid. It took down a little bit. We're not leaking up here yet, so that's good. I think we're burning off any fluid I got on the header. I really don't know what the hell this car's deal is. I mean, this is amazing. Gotta love Mustangs. Got nice power steering, that's for sure. See if we can bleed some air out of the system. Still no leaks. Yeah, we gotta figure out this weird idle issue. I think it's the math. Yeah, I guess it's fine. Let's see. We have enough brakes that I'm confident we're okay to drive. Feels a little bit better after slamming on them a couple times. Oh, much better with the mass airflow sensor unplugged. Barely leaning into it. I'm not trying to have fun or anything. Just want to cruise it, feel how the chassis feels. Feels pretty decent, we're going to be honest. Nobody coming. Send her home. Gauges are falling off. That's fine. Get the back in your hole. I'm going to try to not let the car stall out. You know, it still wants to. Brakes are okay, not great. Coolant temp is 212. The fans were just on a minute ago. I don't know if they still are. It's fine. We're going right back home. I don't like driving. If this thing had brakes, I would drive it more. But also sounds really pissed off with no tailpipes. The muffler dumps is really not cutting it. Okay. Coolant temp is up to 214. See, perfect timing. Car shut right off as soon as we pulled in. Coolant temp got up to 212, 214. 30 starting to go down. Whether that's a good or a bad thing, couldn't tell you. Well, I'd say the old girl did okay for her first drive. The conditions are not necessarily in her favor. Well, really, they're not in my favor. But, as I said, she earns a bath when she gets driven. Technically, putting around the block would be driving it, so we might as well give this thing a bath. It'll look a little bit prettier, at least, sitting in my driveway, so that's good. But I'm almost tempted to run the AutoZone and spend $100 on a Duralast math just to see if we can rule out the mass airflow sensor being bad. If not, we know there's a monstrosity of a vacuum leak somewhere. But I'm gonna start washing this thing. I'm gonna throw some jams on, so I'll probably just put a couple clips together. I don't think I'm gonna record me scrubbing much. It's not like I have like a satisfying foam cannon or anything fun like that. So let's make the ugly bitch a little less ugly of a bitch. Well, folks, there you have it. That is going to be a wrap on today's video of the beautiful, crusty Cobra. I think we're gonna go with the name of Snowball. My buddy Mark, I believe Mark, recommended it. And it fits because this car just keeps snowballing, and it's a crystal white Cobra, so it's white like snow. Get it? You know, we'll play there. Anyways, I think Snowball, I guess, is in a pretty good spot. It didn't drive very good. Obviously, it didn't stop very well. But we drove it. She got her bath. Looks a lot better. But at least now with the car cleaned up, my neighbors won't think I'm actually starting a junkyard, because that's kind of how the lineup's been looking, not gonna lie. So I know we kind of didn't really get too far in this video. Primarily, this video was supposed to be me getting the brakes working and then driving it. Instead, we just fixed the Hydroboost leak, found out that the brakes don't work, and still drove it. So I guess that's something. But as always, thank you guys so much for tuning in. I truly do appreciate it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed today's video, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.